We are live. Hi, Kim. Welcome to the Women's Empowerment Series. Welcome, everyone, joining us today for this episode. Where I have a star and a beautiful leader, corporate and astrologist, and a business spiritual, Kim Woods. It's such an honor to have you with me today.
It's such an honor to be here. I mean, since we've met, I've been thinking about you and I've been wondering what we can do together. And this is the first of many. And this will be the
Yes.
first of many.
And isn't that perfect? This is the holiday season. We're all getting ready for the new year for 2023. And
Yeah.
I thought, this Women's Empowerment Series, it's a series that I organize when I invite leaders like yourself who are doing such a beautiful work around the world and making a difference. And so it presents really what gives hope to others and gives also role models
Mhm.
and also sharing the amazing work you are doing. So let's talk about stars. Let's talk about astrology. Let's talk about sparks for 2023.
Absolutely. My favorite subjects, right? Like, as you think about, okay, you're a business leader and you're a master astrologer, like, how does that weave together? Well, what
Mm,
I will say, we're going to just mention a few names that
let's
people
do
may
this.
know that use the stars, but you may not know.
Uh-huh.
Lady Gaga, Madonna, Beyonce,
Hmm.
Princess Di did, Nancy Reagan, President Reagan, Winston Churchill, FDR, Theodore Roosevelt, JP Morgan, and he's quoted as saying, millionaires don't use astrologers, billionaires do.
I love that one. This is a good one.
100%, right? Like that's why it's like, ooh, you're going to talk about the stars. Like maybe we can all lean in a little bit more because there are millions of people, like absolutely millions of people. Fast Company has even in 2019 talked about how culture in work is now being led with astrology for a lot of things to do like personality assessment and to do matchups with how people are working together and whatnot. Music to
Wow.
my ears.
I love that. Well, this is amazing. So, welcome everyone to this Women's Empowerment Series. If you're just joining us, let us know where you call it, you're connecting from, and if you have any questions for me or for Kim, put it in the comments. We are live streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and also YouTube today.
Oh,
And
excellent.
yeah, and if you're watching replays, just hashtag replay, and we'll be so happy to respond. So,
Absolutely.
tell me about you, Kim. How did it start? How did you do this incredible shift? Right?
Right. So I'm a business strategist. So grew up in, corporate and worked at Oracle and ran a practice and, had a great career and then, children and whatnot. And so shifted to do entrepreneurship, started a business with my husband, very successful. And then my passion was calling. My passion just wouldn't stop talking to me, and as I was, doing these things in corporate, right, and working with other corporations, I would come out and, with intuition, and I would come out with some energy things. And we talked about holism. And honestly, this was 20 years ago, and people were like, keep the wood home, Kim. We don't want
Huh,
the
they wouldn't,
room.
yeah, because they wouldn't. 20 years ago, it was like all masculine paradigm. Let go.
Absolutely. Yep.
It was
Absolutely.
all work hard,
Mhm.
productivity, KPI. That's it.
Right, like all left brain, all focus, all the time. And so finally got to the point where I was like, I have to do this differently. I don't know what it's going to look like. And so I literally closed that other business because I needed to walk away from that because my clients were like, of course we were doing great. It was a referral based business at that point. There was no reason to stop it, honestly, from a, practical perspective. And yet my soul was just crying. My soul was
Wow.
like, you can't, no, you're not going to leave the woo at home anymore. You are not. And then I will tell you, it started a spiral of coming out of hiding that took me years to do,
Wow.
like absolute years. Yeah,
But it takes a lot of interior and inner force to listen to your intuition, doesn't it?
absolutely.
Because we
Yeah.
shut it down, right?
Yeah. And even if we're practicing it, I
Yeah.
had parallel lives. I had my life at home, which was crystals and tuning forks and meditation and all
Mhm.
the things.
Yeah.
Right? And then I had business where, oh, by the way, I was doing it, but no one knew I was doing it, right? But
Yeah.
everybody would say, "Oh my gosh, when you come into this company, it's like, it's so calm, it's so great. We get so many things
So they
done."
felt something. They felt some energetics, but they couldn't explain it.
Right, right. And so they would say, they would, I'm not a psychologist, but they would be like, oh my God, our psychologist is here, our therapist is here. I'm neither, but they felt so good. And obviously not leaving the personal things behind, because, personal and business, they go hand in hand, right? That's the feminine way. And so,
That's your presence, isn't it, Kim?
yeah.
It's your presence. You have
Mhm.
such an aura that wherever you go, you make people around you feel home. Don't
Yes.
you think?
Yes, 100%. That's part intentional, and then
Yeah.
it's just part the vibe, right? So
Mm.
so it was then come out. So then I started peeking out, talking about intuition a little bit and talking about
Mhm.
leadership, and that's fine. Well received in the marketplace here online, so that felt good. But then finally said, you know what? Really, for me, the foundation is the stars. The foundation is astrology. So I want to start talking about astrology itself and
Mm.
start talking about the stars. And lucky for me, timing wise, we're shifting. So people are going to be getting into the stars more and more. It's going to be like massage was 30 years ago, or acupuncture was 20 years ago, or yoga was even, 20 years ago, where people, whoa, that's way woo. Believe it or not, those were way woo. And now
Yeah,
they're
before.
right.
True, true.
Yeah. Now they're mainstream. And I will tell you, it will be coming full circle, because 10,000 years ago, astrology was mainstream, like hypocrisy, like everything,
Everything was on astrology.
everything.
Alchemist, everything, everything. They
Mm.
would calculate everything. But how, what is, you have a gift, obviously, an inner gift, but also learn about astrology. When did you get the time to do that? Because you've been a high executive.
Yes, I know. So I will tell you that I did have a little bit of a skate, if you will, as I was walking away from the other business and then starting this business. There was a little hiatus. Like I would tell my clients, you can do that on your own. You don't really need us. Like you're good, right? Like terrible business, right? Like terrible business.
Yeah.
But yet, you know what? I needed to do it. So I did study massively. I did grow up with astrology. Weirdly enough, I'm Catholic, but my mother believed in it. But
Amazing.
well, the original popes used it.
Which means that you had it in your paradigm. It was like in you,
In me,
somewhere.
totally in me.
It was
Yep.
in you,
Yep, in me.
inside,
And then when
in
I
your
opened
blood.
it up, it was like, oh my goodness, this is so helpful to people personally. It's so helpful to business. It's so helpful for decisions. It's helpful to set strategy. It's helpful to manifest. It's helpful to work through difficult conversations or difficulties to,
Mhm.
help mitigate them. It's helpful to remove blocks. I mean, literally, the stars, when you do them, use them strategically, will help you with your success, hands down.
I am convinced. I know that for sure. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Kim, I salute you and I am so in admiration because to be able, because you stand for a new truth and you're doing it so eloquently. And I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Business spirituality. So, okay, so how does it take out the blocks? Let's understand
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, we enter our world through our minds mostly, right? So if we're swept up in, oh my goodness, the uncertainty of, the Fed just raised rates again last night, right? So now there's another whole, thing in the media about, oh my God, right? Okay. What if you knew that before, and what if you were expecting it, and then what if you planned around it?
Mm,
Wouldn't
mm,
that be much more calming and give you much more availability to
right.
deal with, like, responding and planning for things versus like, oh no, reacting, right?
Mm.
So part of this, like, there's something that we're doing next year which is different, which I'll mention in a little bit.
Sure, of course.
But like, knowing, I just want to go through an example, Hind, where, like, Mercury retrograde, people now, like, will joke about it. They'll be like, oh, communication or technology, like, oh, Mercury must be retrograde, right? So that's knowing that gives us kind of that dopamine hit of like, oh yeah, it's Mercury retrograde, right?
Mm.
And so our minds are like, cool. But what if you knew more than that? Like, what if you actually knew, like, how it affected your sign and when it was and how you could plan around it? Isn't that
Okay.
a whole different thing? Right?
Yes.
Like, because I say to my clients, and really anybody in our world, that okay, there's going to be 3 Mercury retrogrades every year.
Hmm.
They're in different signs. So in 2023, they're going to be in air signs.
Uh-huh.
So that's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius.
Mm, okay.
Now of a sudden it's
That's
like,
good to know.
ooh, okay, we know a little bit more, right? And they're going to be through them. One actually starts in Capricorn, but they finish off in the air signs. So that's going to start at the end of this month on the 29th of December. It goes through
December.
um,
Okay.
January 18th.
Uh-huh.
It would be better if you didn't launch, if you didn't sign new contracts, if you
Really?
didn't do really new things, like even going shopping for like a brand new thing, you'll
Uh-huh.
end up like not really loving
Not
it.
loving it. Not loving it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The energy is not there.
The energy's not there. There's just like kind of a misfire with that energy.
Mm.
Mercury is about connection. And
How
so,
interesting.
right.
Yeah.
So knowing that, okay. So with my clients, I'm like, okay, then let's plant seeds and start the stirring. If you want to launch in January, let's start it now.
Mhm.
And then Mercury's really good about optimizing, streamlining, and reviewing and refining things when he's retrograde.
Oh,
So
okay.
think
So
about it.
that's the time where you do your work.
Yeah,
When you Yeah.
yeah, the time. Well, the time where if you've already set all the things in place,
Yes.
now you're. Oh, I'm going to refine that ad. I'm going to review my message. I'm going to reconnect
I'm
with
going to write
people.
my post. I'm going to, yeah. Okay.
Right?
I'm going to lean back and see what I'm doing
Yes.
instead of showing up. Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting? So it doesn't mean you have to miss the period. You just want to use it appropriately.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's what I mean about using the stars strategically, because again, oh, Mercury's retrograde, we can all get cute and quippy about that and be like, yeah, technology snafus and,
No, no,
miscommunication.
no. I mean,
But,
that's
oh,
okay. Let them be. We're talking to people who understand how to align with this.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And so next year, April, end of April, and then in September again, and end of September, there's going to be another, like there's an eclipse that's going to really affect Libras. So if you're a Libra, you want to be
I am.
mindful of, are you a Libra?
I am. Yeah, I
Okay.
am.
That just came in. I have not talked about this with
I
anybody
know. You didn't even know I was Libra. I
else.
know. I was like, but Kim, aren't we always like this when we talk? We kind of synchronize without even
Mhm.
knowing it. It's so crazy. So I'm
100%.
Libra,
So
October 21st.
you're gonna be, I love this. So you're gonna be extra, you're just gonna be extra careful and really thoughtful and really contemplative and really making sure your communication is absolutely spot on in that late September, early October timeframe,
Mm.
because it's going to affect you the most. And knowing that is super helpful.
Which means it can compound to something beautiful, also, right?
It can, because that's the thing with Mercury. When he goes retrograde, he's basically saying to you, will you please listen?
Yes.
Will you receive? Will you
Mm.
go into your intuitive knowing? Will you open your heart to like have
Like feminine
connect?
energy. Will you be in your feminine energy? Receiving.
Absolutely.
I love that.
So he's a
Wow.
huge gift, even though he's challenging on the surface. He's
Mm.
the harbinger of what's coming in the future. So paying attention to him is really important.
Incredible. This is
Yeah.
so beautiful. Ah, so tell me, how do you work with, your clients? So that whoever is interested, he can reach out to you. And
Yes.
what do you do? How do you start? Is it like only you look at the numbers, you calculate? How do you do that?
Yeah. So okay, I'll unpack these questions. So to get into our world, the easiest way to get into our world is to go to getmy2023forecast.com. We've
Mm,
got a 35-page ebook that
okay.
goes in and talks about all the dates. I mean, you can just look. I'm just going to show the table of contents. Like you can just look. Sorry, I'm being awkward here.
That's
Sorry about
okay.
that.
Perfect. It's
Like
perfect.
go through the theme. I go through the big star events, go through the Mercury retrogrades, go through the eclipses, like go through the major things that will affect you and
Mm.
give you ways to use them. That's the
I
most
love
important thing.
So you need to do this every year or half a year, or how do you do that?
Oh, this is the gift that keeps on giving, Hynd, because
Ah,
it takes me like about 100 hours or so to do the annual forecast,
that's a
because
lot.
I'm looking at the way that planets interreact, like they react with each other, and they're all
Yes.
cyclical, and
Yes.
you have to look like at 500-year expanse,
Wow.
and then you look at like different things in the decade, and then you situate the year, and then you look at what we just experienced the year before, and you look forward 2 or 3 years, and then you put the messaging together, right? So, and then I do it from the lunar cycles, right? So the full and new moons, of which there are, like 24 during the year.
Yeah.
I lift up from that and build it from the details. And that's how I open things. But honestly, this is why, so I can't say the word, but in March of 2020, I had said, you won't be able to breathe and it will be really tight for the
Did
rest
you
of the
see
year.
that? For the COVID? Wow.
Yeah. And then in
Oh,
20,
spooky. Wow. I have
no,
chills.
and then 2021, the insurrection did called that. And then 2022 just called all the weather events. In fact, the movie, because we always relate the year to a movie, was Twister.
It was Twister.
That
Yes.
for 2022, right? So, and we can just see what's been going on. And I said the latter half of the year is going to be much more active than the first half of the year. So,
Wow. And what's your provision for 2023?
So
A certain
2023. So in 2023, the good news is we're going to be lifted up in a way that's going to feel really good, because the beginning of 2021, there was this star configuration that lasted through October of this year. So
Mhm.
it's been over a year and a half where it's like, great, go for the future, big expansion. Oh my God, such good things. And then, but I'm going to hold you back, and you're going to have hurdles and challenges, and you're going to have to like make choice and prioritize. It's been going on for over a year. We're
Wow.
we're done with that now.
That's all good. Yes. Yes. So now we're ready to go. We're
Now
gonna
we're
rock
ready to go.
it.
Now we're ready to go. And I will tell you that there is a lot, like the theme for 2023 is power.
Mm-hmm.
That feels really good. And
Power.
power.
Mm.
So think about, and people will say power. Okay, I'm good. Like empowerment, that feels really good.
Is it inner power? Is it circumstantial power? What type?
This is you know all your things, in because it's inner power.
Okay.
So
It's
it's
inner power.
really you knowing your value, and you knowing your own definition of success,
And
you
standing
being
on
able to reclaim your power that suits you.
it.
People's are different. My expression of power is going to be different than your expression of power.
Of course. But we all have power just differently.
We all have power just differently, and really getting comfortable with it, and
Mm.
knowing when you want to be quiet and you want to listen and just receive, and knowing when you want to speak out and shout from the rooftops.
Mhm.
And really it's about, so the movie, there's always a movie every year, and this year's movie, or excuse me, 2023's movie is Jerry Maguire. Do you know that movie?
Ah, yes, of course.
Right?
Jerry Maguire. Ah, which line does it
Well,
stand
that's the
out?
thing. Show me the money is the
Show me
line.
the money. Yes, I love that. Let's
So
do
that,
that.
like, right? So, and
Yes.
but what I tell you, when you go down another layer, it's really because Jerry Maguire actually like aligns with his true self. Like he lets himself be vulnerable. He through when they goes, like lens, if you will, she can see the potential of him. That's like the stars can see your potential. And
Mm.
you saying yes to that, you opening yourself up, you saying, yes, I know my value, I own my power, I'm going to do what is good for me and
Me.
my own definition. I'm not going to follow other people's, not the trends. I'm not going to get swept up in any recession talk or anything like that. I'm going to,
Focus on
boom,
your power. Yes.
my power. And then
Which
I'm going
means
to
that there is
shine
more focus. Focus.
there. Yes, but we're still in that feminine energy, Hind, where that, allowing things and being open. This is why people are so confused, because the dance in life feels so different and so unfamiliar,
Uh-huh.
because it's like we're inside out.
Yeah.
'Cause the feminine is here and we're like, yay, in our minds, but then living it, it's like, what does that really mean?
Uh,
What does that mean for business? What does that mean for outreach? What does that mean for sales? What does that mean for, having people come into my world?
right. For
Well,
clients to come, to
right,
attract.
for clients to come, right? So allow that, there's that allowance, but it's in the whispers, it's in the nuance. It's, think about, we've gone to the edge as a universe, like everybody's polarized, everybody's at the edges.
Absolutely.
That's expansive, but what about filling ourselves up at the core? What about the moderacy? What about the complexities? What about the grays? Like, those are so important, and we're forgoing those for quote unquote simplicity, for the headline, for the capturing attention. Those are only going to work in the short term. They're not going to last. They're not going to be everlasting. You want to do something that is everlasting. You want to be true to yourself. You want to
Yeah.
be true to your own energy. You want to be true to your own style. You
Want
want
to
to
be
have
aligned with
grace. Yeah.
yourself. Mm.
Yeah.
I
You
like
want to
that.
be aligned. Yeah.
And which means that you are at ease with yourself, with your identity, accepting every part of it and using it as an inner force.
Exactly. Accepting every part. I love how you just said that, because there are things that we don't like about
Oh,
ourselves.
of course.
You know what? We're human.
Yeah.
Give ourselves some grace. We're
Yeah.
human,
That's the thing.
right?
We all gone through things. Let go.
Yes.
Forgive yourself and move on. I always say,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. And take those things forth. That's what the last 2 years have been about. What do you want to carry forth into your future? And so
Hmm.
like our minds can go like, oh my goodness, I gave up something, or it feels like a loss. And if it's not a literal, like, human loss, then really just let it go gracefully as much as
Yes.
you can, because maybe that idea that you had 3 years ago was good then, but isn't good now. Maybe you've grown and transformed so much, like, so accept that about yourself. Or
Mhm.
maybe another idea wants to come in and it wants to create space for you. So,
Yes.
and we
So
feel
let
like,
it happen. Be ready to receive. And that's absolutely feminine energy. It's like
yes,
you're really there to receive things, not there to
absolutely.
control what's happening. We need to go away from the controlling parts.
Exactly, exactly. So I've realized I haven't answered a question about how people can come into the world, right? So I do the annual forecast. This is a really exciting time for me. We talk all about the new year. I have a live event coming on January 2nd that people
Okay,
can
good.
sign up for. They will get this
Sure,
beautiful.
we will put it down. That's amazing. January
Yeah,
6th, I'm coming in. Absolutely.
yeah, right. And
Yeah.
like I said, it's getmy2023forecast.com. I'll leave a comment here after this live. And it is, we're going to charge $7 for it, because what we found is that
Mhm.
two things. One is people sign up for things and life is busy and they forget. But if they
Yes.
have a tiny bit of investment, like just we wanted nominal, they might not forget and they'll come and they'll benefit from it. But
Yeah.
we're also donating the net proceeds to charity. Women
Oh,
for Women
I love that.
International. Yeah.
Women for women. I love
Yep,
that.
yep, and it helps women in war-torn countries. And
Mhm.
this charity stays after the crisis has passed and helps lift women up by getting them jobs, finding
Wow,
them homes, and because
that's
women and children
amazing.
are usually left behind.
Kim, this is amazing that you're doing that.
Yes.
Really.
So again, what we wanted to, like, again, we wanted you to have quote unquote skin in the game and like come, and so have a little bit of an investment, if you will,
And
but
contribute in the same time.
yeah, and
The
contribute at the
greater
same time.
cause.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I love
So
that.
that's a super great way to get just a taste of us. And
Mm.
then you can come into our world. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn every
Yes.
Monday morning doing a quick weekly forecast. I'm on Facebook doing the same thing. I do a weekend tip on Insta. So,
Nice.
right,
So
like
you are like sharing. I love
sharing,
that.
sharing, sharing. Yep, all
But
over.
this is how it is. We share value, we share knowledge, and just to people to feel that everything is accessible. Everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and I will tell you, if you want to come further into our world, of course you can. I'm at kimwoods.com, and our one-on-one clients, this is the difference between like just, hey, I know what's going on in the stars, super fun, and like, oh, I'm actually using them for my success. Because if
Mhm.
you know what your year is going to look like, and what you want for your strategy, you set your strategy that way, you're making sound decisions and you're getting results. So our
Sure.
clients typically, like, we've had 400% growth for the last 3 years. I mean, it's been crazy. So
Congratulations. You're probably one of the fastest
yes,
growing.
it
Yeah.
is. And then my team, I have a team
Incredible.
of intuitive leaders that are amazing. And yeah, we're just growing by leaps and bounds. Our clients experience like 50% growth or 100% growth. Or there was
Mhm.
like during what in October, late October, I got really aggravated because people were talking recession, recession, discount, discount. I'm like, no.
No.
No, stand in
No.
your value, be recession proof. We got $800,000 that week for our clients. I sold over $200,000. One of my clients made $48,000 in one day. So
That's a lot of money.
this works.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. And this works. And I'm only giving them money. Like, we have way more impactful.
Impact. Well, it starts with money. I mean, I always say you want to make impact, you make yourself happy, you will impact the world. But if you don't
Absolutely.
have with what to impact yourself, how can you impact anyone? Yeah.
Right. And this is a quick, like just snippet, right? But we're doing things where we're healing, we're doing removing your blocks. Like you would ask that before. How do the stars help with that? We
Yeah.
touched on that a little bit with Mercury retrograde, but there are some big star events coming. Like,
Okay.
this is what we want to remember. We all chose to be here at this time.
Yes.
And this is a very impactful time to be on Earth. Like, this is a revolutionary time.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm going to use that word, right? And our minds can say, okay. And then we're living it and we're like, dang it,
Mhm.
right? So March this year is going to be you're going to want to be weary about like the chaos. It's just going to not feel great.
Really?
Same
You mean
thing.
the month of March?
Same thing with July. There are just big star things that are happening that shift, that make people feel uncomfortable. And when people feel uncomfortable, and it's all about power, there's power grabs that are not healthy. There's greed that's not healthy. There's fraud. There's just things that are not, humans are not showing up as their best selves, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but those stories always happen, right? There is
Mhm.
always someone who's going to do that. So the
Yeah.
thing is that to keep your values, to keep your inner strength and your fulfillment and your beliefs, right? And
Yeah.
stay strong in them. I
Well,
think that's important.
and for leaders like you, and for other leaders that are out here watching, you want to be that calm in the storm. Like, so in 2022, I named the movie of the year was Twister.
Yes.
And what I was talking about was you want to be in the eye of the storm. You want to be calm when the chaos is
Right.
swirling around
You don't
you.
feel it. You are in it, grounded. Absolutely.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where I'm talking about powers. When you are really in your power and you're in your flow, that's when you become a magnet to the marketplace. Because if everybody else is swirling and, kind of swimming around and reacting and you're not, that's a differentiator.
Yeah. No, we don't react. We know that stuff. We
Hmm.
don't react. We stay poised. Isn't that because of 20 or 25 years background in corporations? It
Yeah,
makes a
right.
difference. High level, don't you think?
I
Yeah.
do. I draw on that all the time, Hynd.
I do too. I
I
do
say
too. It
myself,
makes a difference,
yeah,
It
it
makes a
does
whole
make a difference.
difference. Yeah.
Total difference because, even with my clients, they'll say, oh my goodness, the tension
Mhm.
of working to achieve your goals of growth and
Mhm.
dealing with the day to day is one of the key fail points of strategy. I wrote about that like 20 years ago.
Mm.
So that's one of the biggest ones. And so how do you do that gracefully? Well, sometimes, you know what? It may not look so graceful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you might be at home and you might be railing against it. You might be like, and other times you might be laying in bed and just be like, my energy is just rocked.
But
Be
you've
kind
done
to
it.
yourself. But you,
But you have proof. You've done it. You
100%.
have
Well,
results.
that's the thing. And like,
Yeah.
pick yourself back up again.
You
Allow
exactly. You're
yourself
like,
to,
you know what?
yeah.
You did long nights of working hard. You did the exam. You did all of that stuff. You did interviews. You did board meetings. Put yourself back up and start.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
think it
Yeah.
takes experience.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly. And I think too, Hind, with the feminine energy that's so gracious and so graceful is that it is cyclic. That's one thing. That's the thing that I feel like the masculine energy that was the most eroding and most
Yeah.
like contributing to burnout was the ever expanding expectation.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
cycles. There is sometimes you want to gather and deepen and create and be quiet. And then there are other times you want to be out, like I say, shouting from the rooftops, like shining your brilliance. But it's not constant. You don't want to do either one of those constantly because you'll either become too heavy and just like not wanting to come out again, or you'll become too, like kind of raw, if you will, because you haven't filled yourself back up.
That's a rhythm. So you need
Mhm.
to find the right rhythm and
Yep.
you dance harmoniously with it. And it
Absolutely.
takes,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hard rhythm. And I think understanding the stars, you can align your rhythm with what's happening. So that you're like, okay, I'm weaving it through the phases where I need to go calm. Mm.
The other thing is you can lean into the star power sometimes because you might feel like next week is a really big power week. Just letting you know, there's a solstice, yay! But there's 3 days, the 20th, 21st, 22nd of December, that are just like you
Really?
want to do connection, you want to do outreach, even if it's like, oh gee, I haven't reached out to these 10 people and it's been 2 months. Like, do that. It doesn't have to be this big huge thing. It can be something
Okay.
lovely. And because you're going to find the connections are going to come in, you're going to maybe discover something new that you didn't know. You're going to be inviting something that will be impactful to you and maybe others. So what if you're trying to get ready for the holidays and you feel like, oh my goodness, we're going on vacation and the kids are home and all the things, you can lean into the power of the stars to help boost you.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. I always was leaning back to the moon cycle. It has
Yep.
been my knowledge and my understanding forever, as
Yeah.
long as I can remember. Do you also integrate that, or you focus? Yeah, okay,
A
yeah,
hundred
because like
percent.
the beginning of the moon, where you
Yeah.
start things, you don't do it when it's no at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I am even at the point where my poor team. So like we'll look to release an ad or do a big post or do
yeah,
a reel or something, and I immediately look to see where the moon is and what the moon
exactly.
is doing.
I do the
Yeah.
same too. That's
Yeah.
interesting, and I realize that a lot of people they do that. They don't speak it out, but we do
Mhm.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, especially as women, right? We have cycles in our lives, right?
we
And the
do.
moon has cycles. And actually, the moon is our heart. The moon is how we nurture ourselves. It's how we care for ourselves. It's how we kind of pick ourselves up the ground, to give ourselves kind of a pat on the back, right? So there's a
Yeah.
beautiful nurturing energy to it. But the moon is also wise. She carries tremendous wisdom and she's good for connection. And then the piece de resistance is that she is a manifester. She will help you manifest your desires in your life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big light. That's true.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yes, we do
Fascinating.
we do all the things with the moon and the sun and the stars.
Yeah, I am loving this. You are such a delight, my dear Kim. And it's like we just want to listen and learn more about it. I have just one last question. It's about numbers.
Yes.
How do you choose numbers? You were in the five early on, and now you're in the threes. So I'm curious to see what is that shift.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I love numerology. We do things by
Okay.
numbers as well. So this year happens to be a 6 for 2022. Next year
Uh-huh.
happens to be a 7. So the 7 energy. So this is why $7 for the forecast. We have
Ah,
another.
I see.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
another offering that is $77 for the whole year, where you get 5
Mm.
lives. It's beautiful. But the 7, what does the 7 mean? The 7 mean is like your chariot. It's how are you going to craft the structure in your life to carry you to your future? That's what 2023 is. That's the numerology meaning.
That's the numerology. I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Fascinating. We've learned so much. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Send
Yeah.
us some love. All the people that are, we had ladies and gentlemen. We didn't receive questions, but it might come in the replays.
Yes.
But this has been a beautiful conversation. I congratulate you for the amazing work you are doing and for leading the way and for, showing that it's possible to follow your intuition and actually succeed while doing it.
Exactly, exactly. How much have people that have been wildly intuitive thought that I cannot have success with that, at least from a monetary perspective? And
Mm.
that was part of my coming out of the intuitive closet, as I call it,
Yeah.
and demonstrating that, oh yes, you can value that intuition that has tremendous value.
Well, I congratulate you, and let's focus all for seven figure. Seven is next year,
Yes,
so
yep,
seven is for all of us. Seven
yep,
figure for next year. We send in all the vibes to everyone watching us,
absolutely.
and to everyone around us. Do you want to say one last words before we go?
Absolutely, and I will say, if you've loved this conversation, then, continue to come into our world, right? And Hind and I will be doing other things in the future.
Yeah, we are definitely. We'll do it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. And in the meantime, if you wanna know what's going on in the year, come to getmy2023forecast.com and just sign up and come to the live, or you can watch the replay. Like I said, you'll get the guide. People go through this guide for, like, all year long. I see people, they come to me, like, they've written all in it. They've done all the things. They've followed it.
So
It's
when they
cool.
sign with the $7, you give them the this. So it's very good.
Absolutely. Yep. You get the seat at the live event and you get the guide. So
Wonderful. So we'll drop the link so that whoever is watching us on a replay can get
perfect.
the link and come to your word. Wonderful. Thank you for
Absolutely.
joining me. It's an honor to have you. Happy holiday season, and may all the stars align so that we are all around the seven figures year, month, and weeks.
Yes. From your lips to the star's ears.
Stars. Bye bye, everyone.